Hello guys, and welcome to another day with Zimaleta. Hello guys, so in this video, as you noticed right in the beginning, you could hear some kind of sound of an engine working. You might be wondering what it is. Well, actually, one of my viewers has contacted me and he sent me an email with some videos and he said, hey, can you tell me what this is? So I'm going to show you kind of like what kind of noise this engine is making and stuff like that. And my recommendation, I want you guys to listen to it. And then if you guys know the solution to the problem, I want you to state in the comments below. If you don't, maybe we could look at other people that know, and also myself. I'm going to give my own opinion of this. So let's hear this. So, as you guys heard, this is the sound the engine is making right now. So, I'm kind of like hearing a few little things. I'm hearing some rubbing, I'm hearing air escaping, and also you could tell that the RPM gauge is not going above 3000. I mean, it's showing it's going a little bit higher than 3000, but normally it stays at 3000. You could clearly hear that it's in limp mode right now. So chances are, if it goes to 60 miles an hour on the highway and actually passes above that, it's pretty much going to be on a straightaway, and you might be able to accelerate about 60 miles an hour at this type of feeling, because I had very similar cars before. Now, several things could actually cause this type of issue. One of the things that could actually cause this issue is obviously a leaking turbo pipe. So basically this is all part of the turbo system. It goes to the intercooler and kind of comes around and goes straight inside your intake manifold. It is very common for that very big round hose that actually sits right there in front of your Sprinter to start leaking right at the bottom. And when the engine is actually kind of like riding, idling like this, you can't really hear it, but I'm recognizing the sound actually right away because I had this really happen to me many times on the road. And when it's actually parked, you cannot really hear that much. But once you start driving, it becomes very apparent, especially if you're going uphill. So one of the things you're going to notice with this type of sound is that if you're going uphill, it's going to go into limp mode. Now, of course, I carry with me like some kind of like a computer, and I always, while driving, I'll delete the code, and then it might actually last me about a minute to 5 minutes. It all depends on how hard I actually drive the van. If it's going uphill and it's like too much, all I have to do is delete it, and then in less than a minute the code is right back. The vehicle is back in limp mode. So what happens in these type of situation is when your engine is the engine computer is detecting there's a leak somewhere, you're gonna need a computer to basically delete the code and just keep testing these things while you're driving, because you just simply can't, stop and fix it. You're going to need to diagnose it, and using some kind of computer is going to help. Of course, I always recommend, find yourself a computer that you could afford that could diagnose these things. The computer that I show in this video, you guys seen before, is by Altel. It's only like $130, and actually there's a coupon code that they gave me. If you use that, you're actually going to get a little discount. But if you don't want to get this one, it's okay. Don't get it. Get something else, because all you want to do is kind of like delete the code and keep testing this issue, because here's what your computer is going to do. It's going to detect that there's a leak, and the turbo actuator is going to turn off. It's going to shut down the turbo. Basically, it's not going to let it open up anymore, causing the downflow pressures to be a lot less than they're supposed to be. So the turbo is just going to be like not spinning that great. You're not going to get much air, and then, basically all these problems, they start taking, shape. It means it just goes to limp mode, kind of sucks. But in some cases, you could kind of trick the turbo actuator. You could sort of like remove like one of those little C-clamps on the turbo leg, and you could adjust it by yourself for the turbo to actually open up. So you'll be kind of like adjusting it manually, just in case. Maybe you could put a little wire on that little leg just to let the turbo actually spin. So the actuator is not going to be causing a limp mode anymore. It's going to drive a little bit better, but you're pretty much still in limp mode, just to get you home or something. I mean, this is not recommended way, for you guys to start driving like this. But it's actually a good thing that turbo actuator shuts down the turbo. It's to prevent any kind of problems from happening, because the turbo in this case is gonna need to compensate for the air pressures that is being lost, and it's gonna spin faster, causing the turbo actuator, to figure out, okay, something's wrong here. Turbo spinning way too fast. We're gonna need to shut this turbo down. But anyways, that's only one of the problems that I'm hearing. And also another thing that I'm hearing, guys, I'm hearing a little rubbing. Could be a dry belt, could be belt rubbing against something. It also could be, it is a dry sound that the pulleys make. So it sounds to me like pulleys is going to need to be replaced. I recommend for all of them to be replaced. And also you could clearly see that tensioner is moving way too much. That tensioner spring, it looks like it's really weak, and it needs to be completely replaced along with that pulley. Keep it as a spare. Don't get rid of it. Like, don't throw it away, because who knows, your pulley might break. At least you're going to have a spare. But anyways, let's continue this little thing. So another thing that also is obviously going on with this thing is that EGR might be needed to be replaced. But I believe you said you did replace the EGR, but a lot of times there's many problems in one, so it's time for you to check out the turbo boost type of hoses. We haven't really addressed those just yet. Now, you might be having an actual turbo hose leaking somewhere. You're gonna need to check all of them. But the most common problem that is being caused is usually by the turbo resonator. It's a plastic piece. It's a plastic part. Sits right basically it plugs directly into your turbo. It's plastic, and there's a couple bolts that basically there's a little leg that is being held to the alternator assembly, and you're gonna need to pull them off. And I recommend removing some hoses that's kind of like in the way at the very top. You're gonna need to remove your air intake type of hoses and stuff like that to get to it. But those things, they start leaking, and if you're driving next to, like, let's say like some kind of like a cinder block or like a wall or something, like on those highways, and you open up your window on the right side, you could kind of like, you could tell that if you're driving next to like a forest, you cannot hear any air escaping. But as soon as you're like somewhere like in a tunnel, or like in the like where the bridges are, or those kind of like concrete type of barriers, you could clearly hear there's some kind of air that's escaping. So the turbo resonator is a cheap fix. It's about a $50 fix. There is actually like a lifetime fix. There's a metal resonator that you could buy, and I've bought mine kind of like on one of these websites in California, but I found a cheaper one on Amazon. So I'm going to see if I could find it again, and if I find it, I'm going to link it in the description below. So if you don't see the link right now, It's because I'm still looking for it. I'm gonna actually include it in the description. So any kind of tools that might help you, I'm gonna actually include them in the description, including this computer link. So if you need it, pick it up, you know, that kind of thing. But anyways, I see also some other problems as well. So the turbo hoses could be one, resonator is another, EGR might need to be cleaned. But I believe you sent me the codes for the EGR. If that was you, then the codes look to me like there's some kind of like electrical type of issues. So you might check out need to check your plug. It might not be plugged in correctly. So those things could be kind of off. Also, I believe you messed with the mass airflow sensor. If you did, make sure you put it on right, because if you put it on reverse type of way, like it's gonna look like it's gonna fit, but it's not gonna read right for the sensor. You wanna make sure the arrow is pointing in the right direction for the airflow. So check that out. A lot of times for these things as well, the sensors fail, and some of the sensors that I've noticed that fail for these things is barometric sensors. They're located on the right side where the radiator is. There's two sensors back there. There's a temperature sensor back there and a barometric sensor. They're probably like $50 sensors. The temperature one might be like $20, but the barometric might be like $50. You might want to replace those, and also the barometric sensor that's on your air intake. It's always something. A lot of times, like you think you got one problem, but you got several problems in one. All of your problems, they don't look like it's a big deal. However, you do need to get out of limp mode. That is the most important thing. Of course, like I said, I recommended for your pulleys to be replaced and your belt to be replaced. Those things are just kind of like a must. I mean, it's a very cheap repair, just to prevent that extra trouble from you, for you to happen. Also, the sound that I'm hearing as well, it is a very common sound that the pulley on the alternator is making when it's about to actually go out. It's kind of like this rattly type of sound. It's a dry, rattly sound, and a lot of times you could hear like ticking, like a little tick, tick, tick when it's spinning. The videos, obviously it's kind of short. It's very hard to tell every little thing, but let me know, guys, what you think. If you heard this before on your Sprinter, I mean, we're kind of having like a Sprinter forum here. Let's all share our opinions and stuff like that. Even though I have like 12 years experience, like with messing with these Sprinters myself, I could only share from my knowledge, kind of like what I ran into, but I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys are solid mechanics, and if you know this kind of stuff, let me know. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Take care of yourself. My name is Serge Zimaleta. I'm 37 years old, and yes, I experienced success after buying my first home for cash. Back in 2011, I was broke, but I learned to solve problems on my own. Now, I'm helping others to solve their problems. I know what pitfalls to avoid to stay profitable in business. Need motivation to be more successful in your life? Do you have Sprinter expedite or business problems? Then subscribe. Let's find creative solutions to your problems. Hit the bell notification so you don't miss any of my helpful videos.